I'm Lee, and this is Cass. Miss you. Okay, and this is Cass Lee Productions. Me and my sister decided the first one is gonna be a D&D one. We were gonna do when I first met this flying magical ghoul thing called Tendril, but honestly, I'm gonna have to ask her how I met it, because I remember how I met it, but I don't remember the events leading up to that, and I think you definitely need that to make the story more funny, in the end. So I'm going to share a story instead of when I survived and the rest of my group almost died. Because I am the survival person of my whole entire D&D group. I absolutely annoy them because I refuse to go inside rooms, and I more or less made one of my team members fight a boss. May or not made them fight a boss completely alone with only a few goblin NPCs to help them because I did not want to die. Yeah, so I'm a horrible person. So this is the time where I actually survived, and it was a good thing, and it didn't tee other people off. Yeah, that rarely happens with me. Usually my group is like, Lily, join the battle. What is wrong with you? You're not gonna. We'll save you. And I'm really like, I like my characters too much. They all have a built-in need to survive, so they still can't complain about it completely because it's like, it's in my character. You can't judge me. But they do. They totally do. I can't really blame them. Yeah. So this time, I can't really tell you the events leading up because everything's really skewed in my memory. And this was like around when we were in high school, our junior year. So that's been like 2-3 years, and I didn't write stuff down at that point because I didn't really realize until that campaign that I should write things down in D&D. Oh my gosh. So you know what's happening week to week or month to month or whenever you have it. So you have all the details and the important details remembered. So when your GM's like, so what happened last week, folks? What are you doing? You're not like, what happened? I remember this and this. And he's like, you didn't remember that giant conversation you had with the god that told you so much information that was very vital. No. Lilu, you were there. There's only two of you. The other guy left. He's not here. Why didn't you write it down? I didn't know I should. So I've been trying to keep better notes. I still suck at it really bad because there's some people who take general notes of the whole entire thing. Some people only take notes important to the character, and some people only take notes of what their character would know. I haven't decided what kind of person I am with that note-taking thing. I just kind of write down people, names, and places that we've been told to go to and where we went, and not really the plot points, so still gotta work on that. So you're just gonna get a story of what I remember of a single incident, and these are gonna happen a lot because I lost the book I wrote down stuff in. I'm a forgetful person. I'm so sorry. I also been into the forgetful thing, try to build it into some of my characters. Managed to do it with only one of them, but that is the one that like meets once a month. So we're pretty good. No one really remembers anything because not everyone writes their stuff down that campaign either. So scot-free. But this one starts with us being in a different plane. There was a pyramid. We went through this plane, this portal, and we ended up in this different dimension. And it was like eerily quiet. No one around. We just kind of we walked through the portal. We're standing on this platform. Everything seems to be floating in the air. There's white clouds, the blue skies, the sun just shining down, and there's a bridge. Rickety looking bridge that leads to what appears to be maybe a building in the distance, and we can also see some forest to the left of that, also on a floating island. So we of course, the first thing you do is you walk towards the bridge, because guess what? There's only like 3 floating islands, and there's only 3 places you can go. So we walk forward, and this is still kind of skewed with some of the things, so you're gonna get, I'm gonna apologize for the confusedness. If that happens, it's gonna be bad. So we walk up to the bridge, and it looks really rickety. It's like one of those rope bridges over a giant chasm, and when we look down, we notice there's this giant dark vortex just swirling around and stuff. And my character's like, I don't want to cross this bridge now, guys. I know we've crossed lots and lots of dangerous bridges, and I know one time we end up making one ourselves out of like Move Earth, which you can't actually do, but none of us actually knew what it did, so we got away with it for like a long time. It was actually kind of sweet. So I was like, but so just I'm definitely not gonna be the first person. Someone else go first. This doesn't seem safe. Mm. So they kind of crossed the bridge, and we did have to make dexterity saves going across, which made me panic inside because I think I had like a +1 to dexterity. For you people who don't know, D&D is like a dice-based game, and you gotta roll a die to see if you can actually do stuff, like when you're fighting, if you actually hit, or and how much damage you do and stuff like that. It's pretty much like a video game, but on a table. And so these modifiers of what we call them, or the +1, is what you add to those rolls. So a dex thing would be like when you're trying to pocket somebody or something like that, you'd have to roll for, and you would add whatever that modifier is to it. And mine was like +1, +2. I think it was at least a +2 because I was like a climbing monkey during most of this, and I can't remember if it was strength or dexterity. Either one, it wasn't like horrible, but I didn't feel confident in my rolls because I've just always sucked at rolling dice. I always kind of got roll numbers. It's usually it was below 15. Only a few times was it ever above. So I was like, I'm gonna die. It's gonna so. I like my character. Please don't die. I was like a tiefling fighter. Yeah, I played it as a rogue. I did rogue last campaign. I just didn't want to be that person who plays the same class every time. So I went with the fighter. But it was a rogue in disguise. It really was, just without the proficiencies. It was sad. So we make it across the bridge, and we all managed to survive the cross across the bridge. So we go to this building, and we go up to the door, because obviously you're going to go to the building first before you go check out some floors to the side. And we noticed that there's a lock that we need a key for it. Like there's a weird outline shape in it, and we kind of roll to see if we can see what our characters can tell what the shape is. One of our characters end up finding that it is like a skull like key, like a skeleton key almost. And so we all decide to search for the key, of course, because how else are you gonna get in this giant door with an unpickable lock? And we don't have a rogue in our group at this point. We had a cleric, I believe, a gunslinger. Oh, my tongue. There was more people. It's just these were the people who showed up the most, because a lot of people couldn't usually always make it because school and life and jobs. Feel like there was other people. There might have been, I don't remember the classes, but maybe S was there and J. I'm gonna refer to them by the first letter name because I'm not sure if I have the permission to use their names. I need to ask them because I feel like that's something you should do. Since I don't remember the character names, you're just gonna have to make, look to. So we're gonna call the cleric and gunslinger just that. That's just what we're gonna refer to them by. My character's name was Arrev. D&D name generator. It was actually not accurate for my class. I think it was like for Dark Elf, but because the thing I was using was a bit outdated, it was on my phone. Not related. I'm sorry about my rants. ADHD child, I apologize. So we can't really find anything about this key. So we kind of investigate the forest and look around there, kind of searching for the key, thinking it might be in there. But we don't really have any luck there either. So we decide to look around a bit more, and we notice that there are these steps on the sides of the islands leading downwards, but we're not sure exactly where. And I can't remember if this was across the road bridge or if it was near the building. But I remember that one of our members did die falling off the bridge. I think it ended up breaking at one point, and he just fell into the vortex of death, and we couldn't really cross back anymore. I think he did try to use Move Earth to make a stinking bridge again, but by then I think we knew that was not what it did, and that we could not use it that way, sadly. So either way, I end up. I remember. I'm pretty sure I was following behind them because I don't think I would have just stayed at the doors because I did follow the group around. I didn't always just ditch them because I was also afraid of being alone, attacked by something. Group of numbers, man. So we go down the stairs, and at a certain point, they just seem to stop. There's no stairs as far as we can see. So one of my A goes, I take out my sword and I poke the ground, like I poke the air in front of me. And guess what? There's steps, but they're invisible. And my character's like, I'm not trusting nothing I can't see. So all of them kind of go down these steps, except for me, who's just standing on the steps like, I don't really trust things I can't see and it's invisible. And honestly, I think my character might have had a slight fear of heights just because she did hate crossing anything that went over a giant gorge. Probably because it could lead to death. You know. So they go down there and there's just a swirling vortex. We can't find the key. We've looked the forest, and we're gonna have disadvantage again if we're gonna look for the stinking key again, because in our group, you roll investigation, and if you try to look for the same thing again, you have disadvantage on it, which means you have to roll 2 dice and you have to take the lower number. So, my friend's like, I'm gonna jump into the swirling vortex of doom. I'm like, what? And this is the guy's character who died a lot during the campaign. Some of them were my fault, like 2. We're not gonna go into that. One of them was just because I forgot I had stuff. Oh, what do you know? That was also the second reason why he died too. Everyone calls me the corpse loser because I always loot everyone's corpses. Totally off topic again. But he jumps into this rolling vortex. And all my group's just like, we don't know what this vortex does. Could be a portal. And I'm like, it could be death! And they're like, could be a portal. So they all jump into the swirling vortex. So my character's just like, do I jump into the vortex? Because I don't want to be alone. And frankly, I do not want to cross the bridge alone to look for the stinking key. And I also don't want to go to the forest alone because I want to look for the stinking key. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's anything around, but that means nothing in D&D because you've got to roll perception for shiz like that usually. So, for all I know, there could be something there, and I just don't notice. I just out the window, your character is stinking blind. So I'm like, has anyone ever told them? Ever? I mean, their mom must have told them at least at one point. If all your friends jump off a cliff, it doesn't mean that you jump off the cliff too. I'm just saying. Swirling vortex of doom for all we know, and they just hop in it one by one. They're like, this seems like a great idea. Yeah, this is totally how this is gonna happen. This is totally how we solve that locked door problem. Is the swirling vortex. So I absolutely refuse to hop into the swirling vortex. Like, everyone has already jumped in, and they're like, Lily, jump into the swirling vortex. And I'm like, ha ha ha, middle finger. So I climb back up the steps, and I go to the front of the door, and I had a genie from this trials that we kind of did. We got to pick one reward, and we end up picking what we thought was just like maybe enchanted lamp. And they gave it to me. I was the one who rubbed it, so I got all the wishes from the genie, and I know that DM doesn't exactly like wish, so I don't want to use it. Like the last campaign we had, we totally used wish to finish up the campaign because the world was sort of ending, and we had no idea how to do it, so the DM's just like, I don't want this campaign to go on any longer, so I'm just going to tell you what you need to do, and use the stinking wish I gave you. And we're like, sweet! It's awesome. But so I decided that I wasn't gonna use the wish to do like anything super broken. I used it once before to cast a spell. And so I decided, standing there, staring at these doors, giving up on looking for the key, because I think I did try a second time. It was just, I just could not find this stinking key. And so I was like, I have a wish. I wish for the key to be in my hand. And then the GM's like, okay, you have the key. Do you open the door? Of course I open the door! So the door slowly opens in front of me. It opens his room and has murals on the side of the wall, reenacting a history of historical things. And of course, my character is actually really interested in history and books and stuff like that. So she kind of checks out the murals, and he kind of describes, what, of course, is on them. And it seems to be that there is this king of this town, and he sort of presided over it, but you could tell something was happening with the gods. And at this time in our world as well, on the art plane, something was happening to gods. Like, they were disappearing. Some of them were sealed away, and we're kind of slowly unsealing them. I think the god of the time was called Curtitus. It was kind of funny. But since I can't use names, you won't know why. But I did just give you a giant hint, so there you go. So we were like freeing his sons and daughters, essentially. And Curtitus was a neutral character in alignment, so he wasn't necessarily good, but he wasn't necessarily evil at all. All he did was for the good of himself, more or less, is what neutral means, is that you don't necessarily go out of your way to help people, but you don't go out of your way to harm them. You just kind of do whatever you think is good for you. The alignments are hard. We usually just ignore them in our group. So I kind of walked through, and then was that I end up getting to, there's like, I can't remember, I'm pretty sure there's a skeleton I see in the distance, and he's sitting in this chair because I got to this other doorway. And I'm standing at the doorway, not really sure what to do, because obviously, if anyone who's ever played a video game can tell you that when there's a giant skeleton sitting in a chair inside a giant room, it usually means it's a boss. And guess what? I'm all alone, because all my friends decided to jump down a vortex. A stinking, swirling vortex. That might have been death. So, I would have to fight this boss completely alone. This giant skeleton that is very obvious that he has this giant sword. And my DM also explains to me that there's this giant door behind him. I'm like, well, obviously my goal is the giant door, because it's a straight hallway. And I can't really, I don't have anyone to talk or discuss, to do stuff with, because they all are in a vortex. I'm sorry, they made me so frustrated that day. I mean, I love them, and it was honestly really funny in the end, because I was just like, what do I do? Because I'm just kind of that person in the group who just goes along with what everyone else does and doesn't really think for themselves. And yes, I get how that is ironic with the whole entire don't jump off a cliff thing. But I do, put suggestions to the group, but I'm never exactly the leader, So I also really suck at puzzles and making decisions, especially since I didn't know the D&D world as good as the other people who were with me at the table. Now, not all of them had played it before, but all of them had at least done some research before they played the game, unlike me, who was just like, that sounds awesome, let's do this. So I decided that I wasn't going to I was going to attempt to avoid this boss fight by sneaking into the room and getting to the big door. Now, half of me was worried the door wouldn't open, and I was right. The door was locked, and touching the door made the giant skeleton behind me, because he was right in front of the throne, and the door right in front of the door was the throne, and so I sneaked behind the throne to get to the door, and I was like, and he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, hey, why am I here? And so my mind was like rushing through excuses to tell this giant skeleton to sitting in this awesome throne. And so I was like, Uh, um, I was just exploring the area. And he was like, why do you want to open that door? I was like, to see what's behind it. So I ended up chatting with the skeleton. I can't remember exactly what the conversation was about, but at one point I had to end up rolling charisma. And since I was a tiefling and my magic spells relied on it, even though I was a fighter, I didn't take like the spell thing, but I figured charisma was gonna be stinking important since they put it in my like what was it called? Race. So I thought charisma would be very important for a tiefling. So I made sure that it was like one of my bigger areas and point modifier that you add to the dice after you roll it. So I had like a +6, got an unnatural 20. Totally avoided the boss fight. He just upped and disappeared from his chair, leaving behind a giant sword. And so I pick up the sword, like, cool, I have this now, I guess. He must have left it behind, so it must be important for some reason. And I go and I open I go to the doors again to see if they open. The doors open and my friends magically reappear next to me, and it's like, what? You're not dead? Because at that point I was just pretty sure they died, because giants rolling vortexes I just classify as a bad thing to begin with, because black holes. So I actually ended up being right in the fact that it was a swirling vortex of doom, because our DM told us that practically when you jumped in the store, it ripped apart your body, and your soul was then forever trapped within the vortex. Great job, guys! You almost killed us all! But he said he did have a plan so we wouldn't all be killed off and have to start a new campaign. He was just planning us to go through that temple that I more or less entered after wishing for the key as spirits, and we'd have to fight the boss as a spirit. You know? So there was a backup plan, and we would have been fine even if I did jump in. But I like to think me BSing was actually really useful, and actually avoiding dying for once was somehow helpful for my group, and just didn't lead to them almost all of them being dead. In this case, I really just saved all of them. One of our characters decided that he wanted to make a new one though, so we just decided he died in this rolling vortex. So yeah, there is more after the sword story, honestly, about the sword and stuff like that. And that can be a really short one, but you won't get all the extra stuff after a certain point. But if you want to hear more about the giant sword and what exactly it does, because it is magical and it was slightly terrifying. Yeah, so comment if you want to learn more about that. Hit subscribe, likes, because I always forget to say that stuff, because forgetful person. Really need to write stuff down. All right, so that's my first D&D talk video. I'm sorry this is so long. I really should script this, but I just decided to do it off the top of my head. So lots of rambling. I apologize. Bye.